Hi, everyone. Welcome to this session on practical steps to overcome anxiety. Thanks for signing in and thanks for joining us again. So, again, like I said, prepare your questions and I would love to answer your questions. So, be sure to jot it down so that I can respond to some of your concerns that you bring to the table. And it can be anything related to anxiety, relationships, and family dynamics. So before we start, again, this program is sponsored by Laurel Ridge, and I'm going to show you the video that is that describes the services of Laurel Ridge.
Is sponsored by Laurel Ridge Treatment Center. Laurel Ridge Behavioral Health Program offers compassionate care for every stage of life. It provides personalized treatment for all populations. Their interest is to help you into your journey to wellness. There are services for children, adolescents, adults, military dependents, active duty service members, veterans, and first responders. They offer inpatient services, outpatient services, substance abuse treatment, and residential treatment. Call 210-491-3591 for no-cost assessment. Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their mission is to save lives, heal families, and create hope.
All right. Okay, hold on. I am. All right. All right. Thanks for the announcement about the services of Laurel Ridge. Okay, welcome back. Okay, let's hear your questions related to anxiety and effective coping. So I see some familiar names. Thanks for joining, Shannon. Araceli, I see good names. Okay, tell me what questions you have. Okay, I see one from Victoria. What do you do when you at the stoplight and you're getting anxious and you can't do anything about it? That's an excellent question. So, in that situation, I want to understand the situation that prompts it. Many times it's not just when it occurs. It might have been something that you've been struggling with and that's brewing in your head for a week, a month, or something that happened weeks ago and it's been in your headspace, but you've been stirring and it's been sitting there and you've not been able to talk about it. And then sometimes when you have brief moments, then it shows back up again. And it shows back up in a big form, in a big emotion, and then you feel panicky and you feel consumed by it. So one of the important things to think about is track back into your history. What was bothering you that has been kept within you and that has not been addressed. It's important to talk about it. Talk about it to a friend, to somebody you trust, and have them listen and help you understand what some of the triggers that you experience. It could be a boyfriend relationship. It could be how you relate with your boyfriend, but then it reminds you of something that happened earlier on in your life. So look at those historical things that has occurred. Usually whenever a symptom show up, it's because it has deep roots. It has historical roots. So look at those. Thank you, Ursula. All right. Christine Trevino. The question is, what therapeutic approach have you found most successful in your practice in dealing with clients with anxiety? Great question, Christine. So depending on the context of the anxiety. What is it surrounding? Is it surrounding relationship? Is it surrounding work anxiety? So the approach that you can look at and tap into is lots of family of origin approach. I try to look at their history. Again, like I said earlier, when things happen, it has been building up for years. And over time, it becomes bigger and becomes more consuming. So when I use family of origin approach, I want to understand how the mother coped, how their father coped, how, the parent dynamics impact them when they were growing up. It could be that they have learned to internalize, they have learned to use avoidance, they have learned to use escapism to avoid coping. So it is important to understand how people work and what habits that they bring from their history that keeps showing up. So doing some family of origin work, maybe doing a family genogram may be helpful to get a better grasp of their historical tension, the historical coping that has been effective or not effective. Okay, Shannon Gonzalez, what are the common causes of anxiety in individuals? Great question. Again, I'm a big believer in family of origin work. Some of the common causes could be what you watch your parents do. Many times growing up, we see our family, our parents cope either conflictually, cope by using substances, or cope by getting ramped up, getting emotional, getting anxious, hiding, crying in the closet, or by shopping. And people use shopping to handle anxiety, handle tension. And men may use drinking, drugging to do that. But a lot of these causes about anxiety shows up in our early childhood, and we tend to, again, do the things that we saw our parents do. And so if you want to understand your behavior, look back in some of the early challenges in your own family history, and that will help you understand your own behavior. Many times when I work with couples and I want to understand their fights, I would ask about, tell me more about how, when conflict showed up in your household, how did your parents deal with it? How did they handle it? How did they address it? And many times there will, clients would say, I didn't see them have conflict. They resolve it on their own in private room, or they saw a lot of conflict growing up. Okay, another one from Sharon. Great question. Shannon says, how can friends or family members best support someone dealing with anxiety? Great question. In addressing anxiety, many times we want to solve it. My suggestion is look at understanding, hearing people rather than just solving the problems. Many times we are too quick to solve it, and we try to tell people what to do. The best thing we can do is show more empathic understanding, show more compassionate understanding, serve with a listening ear, ask questions that are going to direct them to look at their relationship patterns, ask questions to look at how they have coped in the past and how they tend to speed through it to not cope. So anxiety tends to build up when we don't address it. In all situations, it's important to lean in to understand, lean in with curiosity, lean in with inquisitive mindset. So when you ask questions, it allows the person to think about it, to ponder, and not be so quick to solve. Many times when we try to solve it quickly, we probably solve the wrong thing. Okay, let's see. Rachel, how do you how to effectively deal with anger that causes anxiety? Great question. So, anger and anxiety, the two A's. In looking at anger, when people have anger, that's the top layer. It's like the skin. If you peel the first layer, the second layer is probably some other emotion. It could be hurt. It could be disappointment. It could be discouragement. So I would go, help me understand more about what angers you, what disappointed you, what was discouraging, what hurt you. So don't just look at the top layer of the emotion. When anger shows up, there is always something else. While I'm angry, I am hurt inside. So go in to understand what drives the hurt. So you were hurt because the situation with your boyfriend was very dismissive, and it is very similar to the situation with your mother when she dismissed you. So when dismissed, people may have big emotions, explosive emotions. So help them connect the dots. So don't just think of anger as one emotion. If you keep peeling, you may go down to, fear of rejection, fear of being abandoned, fear of being alone. So when there is this fear of being alone or fear of being rejected, then we become anxious. And to cover up anxiety, anger, or other big explosive emotions may show up. All right. Jeannie, there's this question. How do you help someone with conflict avoidance be better able to deal with conflict? That's a very good question. So when there's conflict avoidance, there's a lot of safety. So I want to couch it in the positive term. So the person wants to protect the relationship because they don't want to go dig up stuff and then bring up big emotions. So first, I want to, thank them for being so protective of the relationship. And then, because they're protective, they're looking for safety. In order for people to talk, they need to feel safe. They don't need to feel like, okay, I'm walking into a landmine. So to allow and to get people to talk, ask questions about how they cope in the past. Ask questions about what it was like, when they use avoidance. Ask questions about the need for safety. When you understand the surrounding issues around their protectiveness, their avoidance behavior, it gives you a chance to understand them better. They are avoiding because it is safe. It doesn't unravel things. So when you understand the surrounding issues, then they feel like, okay, you understand them and you're not pushing them. People tend to resist. They become defiant. They dig deeper into the ground when they sense that you're pushing them. So it is important to provide a safe environment. Many times they are also avoidant because they fear judgment. They don't want to be judged, criticized. They don't want to be evaluated. They don't want to be lectured to death. So it's easier to avoid so that they don't have to deal with this. So if you find yourself lecturing or, being critical, it might be important to step back, to have conversations about your role and what is safe about their avoidance. So go in to understand their avoidance. And as they are talking about it, they may feel safe. They may feel more connected. Usually we share with people whom we trust, whom we can connect with, and people who will understand, not people who will give us advice and give us quick solutions. When you are the person who may have, let's say, the issue, learn to ask for people to listen. You can say things like, I have this thing that's been on my mind. I want somebody to listen to me as I talk out my problem. So be brave enough to ask for what you want so that you don't get a bunch of lectures, a bunch of solutions that you're not ready to get. And that may cause you to shut down and then get more anxious. Okay, Shannon goes, what are the differences between medication and therapy approaches in dealing with anxiety? So medication will help curb some of the symptoms. It will help subside some of them over time, but it can be used in conjunction together with therapy, because eventually you want to dig out, kind of excavate, kind of cleanse some of the deeper issues that you're struggling with. When you bury things, they become bigger, they grow. But when you get it out, you talk about it, you identify the roots of it, then you're getting rid of the infection. So think of it as, a cleansing process in therapy. And with medication, it helps subside the symptoms. So both can work hand in hand, and some prefer to use therapy. But when you do therapy, remember, counseling is not about just going in to talk about what others have done to you. It also means that you talk about your own behavior, how you have been responsible in dealing with things or you have been avoiding. So take responsibility in your own role. Okay, Tanya goes, what emotions, beliefs, or situations drive anxiety? A lot of our beliefs are wrapped up in anxiety. Firstly, we see the need to perform. We may see the need to be perfect. We may see the need to please whoever it is. It could be our boss, our parent, our partner. So when we have beliefs that limits us and puts us in a very tightrope living, very narrow pathway, that's when we feel like we cannot be human. When you have a wider rope and a wider gap to function and you can do some meandering, you allow yourself to enjoy mistakes. You allow yourself to be human, to fall and go, okay, this is a learning experience. This is not a failure. If you think of falling and failing, then it also ramps up our anxiety. Anytime you fall, think of it as a growth experience. The universe has a way of bringing things into your life to help you grow. When they bring difficult people into our space, and then we can complain about it, or we can go, okay, what is the lesson here? How can I use my assertiveness skills? How can I grow my skills in working with very challenging people? So try to understand what the universe wants you to learn from that situation. If you can probably moan and groan about it, or you can look at it from how can I grow my skills? How can I grow myself? How can I take advantage of this situation to help me understand the situation? And sometimes it's not about us, it's about trying to understand people. When people give us a hard time, we want to understand, you know, what provokes them. So in understanding them, we take it away from us and we put it back on the person. They may be harsh, critical of you, of us, because you remind them of someone, or you remind them of their own failures. And so it's important to understand what the person is struggling with. So don't always make things about you. Okay, Araceli, how can you not let anxiety get to you? Okay, challenging question. So to let it not get to you is to, at first I'm sure it stings when you encounter it, but to reduce the sting and to reduce the grip it has on you, it's important to look at the patterns in your life, the patterns of when you are anxious. Go back last week. What happened last week? Go back 6 weeks ago. Go back what was triggered in you 6 weeks ago that you have allowed to sit in your headspace. So go back to understand it. And then again, don't hide it and bury it under a bush. Talk about it. Get it out. And sometimes you may want to journal it and see if you can track the history of it. And then the more you get it out of your headspace, the more you can identify patterns, the better it is for you to not let anxiety get to you. So you have to practice excavating things that is in your headspace. Okay, Natalie, are there any helpful ways to help with social anxiety? That's a neat question. Social anxiety is, I'm assuming you're saying with the large social group. I'm assuming that you're not saying the small intimate group. In understanding anxiety, you have to think about, did you want to be in that social setting? Or were you pressured to go because, it was for a friend or it was for somebody else? When you have social anxiety, could it be that there's a lot of fear surrounding being judged, being pressured to do something, being uncomfortable, and fear of people laughing at you for making mistakes? Because earlier on in your life, people made fun of you, or there could be some bullying experiences that still triggers you. So look into your historical lenses and see when it started and what caused your anxiety to amp up. So it could be a lot of fear of criticism. Okay, I want to make sure. All right, Jenny goes, how do you overcome chronic anxiety stemming from childhood and be able to have long-lasting peace? So this has, from chronic anxiety from childhood, it probably need to look at some of your early history. when a person has anxiety, it's probably because you have seen your mother or your father cope anxiously. So your coping, is it anxiety or is it fear of judgment? And our fear of judgment causes us to be anxious because nobody wants to be judged, criticized, blamed, or accused. So understand if blaming, accusing, jabbing, destructive comments were made to you earlier, and therefore you let those things consume your headspace, and then again it shows up. Again, like everything else, I believe in cleansing, in getting rid of things that we have buried. The more you clean out your headspace, there's more room for us to, show our more transparent, our genuine self. And then as a result, as you clean up more of your emotional gut, more peace, calmness, serenity may settle in. Okay. I like that you don't always make. Okay. Thank you, Sandra. I like that you don't always make things about you. That's cool. All right. Okay. Morgan says the brain itself is built for pattern recognition. Very good. Okay. Let's take another question or two. Okay. We have about a few more minutes left. So if you have other questions, I would love to answer it. Okay, let me scan back to see if I can pick questions that I may have missed. Okay, Cynthia says, how can I overcome my anxiety when I fly? I don't want to make a scene or go crazy with my breathing. I start to shake and then I start to hyperventilate. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Cynthia. That must be very challenging. When you think of flying, you're thinking about what? What does it equate to? Is it the fear of loss of control, the fear that, you don't have an out, the fear that the outcome may not be clear in your headspace? Many times when we have fear is because we don't know what the outcome is. We don't know how the ending is going to show up. So could it be that earlier on in your past, things have been unsafe, and when in unsafe situation, the ending always comes out to be a horrible event, explosive event. So therefore, flying can be unsafe for you in your head because you go, I don't know if, the plane is going to land, and the what if. So when you do the what if scenario, it can ramp up our anxiety. So it's important to understand some of the unsafetiness that you may feel related to being out of control. So understand that many times the problem about flying is really not about height, it's about something else. The fear of losing control of things, the fear of looking unprepared, being vulnerable. And so that causes us to get more ramped up. Thanks for that question. I'm going to scan back. Okay. Okay, Shannon goes, how can someone build resiliency against future anxiety inducing circumstances? Future anxiety inducing circumstances. Okay, hold on 1 minute. Okay, future Anxiety inducing. So in this question, I want you to think of yourself. Are you more of a oak tree that you stand solid? Are you more of a weeping willow? Are you more of a palm tree? For you to build your resilient muscle, what can you do now? So don't think of anxiety, but think about things you want to build to have a strong structure. So when you live on a day-to-day basis, are you letting anxiety drive you, or are you letting your traits that you want to build drive you? So if anxiety is the driving force, then you're more likely to give in. And then things become more anxious, fearful, and tense. But if you step back and think about, okay, what traits, what bone structure do I want to build? You want to build courage. You want to look at using calmness to address situations. You want to build tenacity, where you face things rather than run away from things. Most of us in childhood, we were not given tools to look at things squarely in the face because our parents didn't address things clearly. They didn't address things in courageous way. We are more likely to hide or not deal with it or skirt over it. So in your own journey in life, think about what resilient muscles, multiple muscles that you build. And if you keep looking at anxiety as your target, your goal, then it will be anxious, anxiety focused. But bring in other picture like resiliency, bring in tenacity, bring in courage, bring in calmness, bring in ability to explore, bring in the ability to lean into things so that you can strengthen those muscles and let those, be your focus so that you can continuously grow other muscles and not just the fear muscle. All right. EK goes, if your spouse has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, how do you deal with anxiety that comes from the fear of losing them? That's a big question, and that's a very, I want to say challenging because, with your spouse, there's so much connection, there's so much history. I think it would be important to talk about some of the fears, always lean in to understand it, always lean in to have conversations about the spouse that is diagnosed, and also you yourself, who is the caregiver, you yourself, who is the partner, whoever that may be. So lean in to talk about these heavy emotions. And the more we talk, the more we have some plans about how to deal with it, how to have different options. What are some of the things that surround these emotions? Because when there is cancer, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of other emotions. It triggers a host of other emotions, things that's from our history that's not been brought up. It kind of all comes to the surface. So it's important to understand on a regular basis, okay, what other feelings are showing up? Anger may show up. Being betrayed may show up. Betrayed, like, how come this is being done to me? How come this is happening in my life? So a host of other emotions may show up, and it will be important to understand that. All right, our time is up, and I appreciate you for showing up, asking such excellent, great questions, thought-provoking questions. So next week, same time, the topic is on recognizing self-limiting thoughts that hinders our growth. So come prepared with a question, And again, before we take off, I'm going to share the video from Laurel Ridge and talk about the services that they offer. Okay, let me see if I can go to that. Oh gosh. All right. Let me see. Okay, it's burping. Okay, my computer is not behaving and it's not. Oh dear. All right. I am going to read the announcement to you. So again, this live stream is sponsored by Laurel Ridge. Laurel Ridge is a behavioral health program that offers compassionate care for every stage of life. It provides personalized treatment for all populations. Their interest is to help you into your journey to wellness. The services offered are for children, adolescents, adults, military dependents, active duty service members, veterans, first responders. They offer inpatient treatment, outpatient services, substance abuse treatment, and residential treatment. So call 210-491-3591 for no-cost assessment. Again, Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Thank you for joining me in this session. I hope to see you again next week, and have an awesome week and have a calm week. See you next week.